So the allocation of credits in a single educational component is performed as part of the curriculum design and generally is the responsibility of higher education institution and academic staff to do. And if you're working in a university, I'm quite sure that you've been through this process already, or something similar to what I'm going to explain to you right now. Although there are differences in how ECTS are allocated in the universities, the system is quite the same. We must begin by defining the learning outcomes of each program and each module of study. Then we will go on describing the learning activities we have to do, or we propose to achieve these learning outcomes. And then we estimate the workload typically needed for a student to complete this activity. The learning activities may vary in the different countries, institutions, and subject areas, but we have to take into account the contact hours for the educational component. So the number of contact hours are calculated, and then the time spent in individual or work group required to complete the educational components. So the preparation beforehand or the finalizing notes after attending to a to a lecture, or maybe the literature research you have to do. We have to take into account everything that is needed to obtain the learning outcome. So, as you can see in the example, as you can see in the example I've just showing you, this is, I think it's one of our subjects in the program in nutrition in our institution. We decided we first, of course, going into the learning outcomes. Then we decide that it was needed 30 hours in face-to-face lessons, and we thought that every student or should study about 2 hours at home after attending those face-to-face lessons. So was 30 hours and 60 plus hour. It was some laboratory work needed for this subject, so it was 40 hours of laboratory work. And of course, the laboratory work needed the writing of a laboratory diary. That was 10 hours more. They needed to prepare some debates and some presentations by their own, and so they have to make some literature research to prepare those. So this was 34 hours more of work. So summing up this, it went into 174 hours, and so divided in 30 hours, that came through a 6 ECTS subject. Okay, so the ECTS credits allocated to a module should include also time for exams and to prepare exams and to do exams, and obligatory work placement, the time required for obligatory work placement. So allocation of credits per exams it's difficult and varies really widely, as the amount of time needed for students to prepare an exam will vary depending on the format and the length of this exam. So this is a good example of the flexibility of ECTS credits and our ability to apply the system in a wide range of situations to suit the needs of the students. And as I said, it's not only the activities done at school, but all kinds of activities throughout the learning process. Where can we apply the ECTS? Well, we can apply ECTS to all types of programs Whatever the mode of delivery is, school-based, work-based, learning, e-learnings, distance programs, whatever the learning statute is, full-time, part-time, and to all kinds of learning, as I said. Formal, that's in the academic surrounding, non-formal, and informal learning. In the credits in the use of ECTS credits at the university, full-time students will need to complete 60 ECTS per academic year. And this is made in the basis of that 1 year at the university lasts around 1,500 or 1,800 hours of work. So if we divide this 100,500 into 30, it will go to the 60 ECTS per academic year. Credits may be accumulated with a view to obtain a qualification and as decided by the degree awarding institution. The first two Bologna cycles are associated with the following ECTS credit ranges. So for bachelor degrees, that's the first cycle qualification, will typically include 3 or 4 years of study and will include 180 to 140 ECTS credits. And for the master degree, that's the second cycle qualification, it will typically last 1 or 2 years. Uh, there's a minimum of 60 ECTS needed for master degree and will include between 90 and 120 ECTS credits. It's now a requirement for all European higher education institutions to align their qualifications within the European Qualifications Framework for Lifelong Learning and to express their words in the European Qualifications Framework terminology. And in this terminology, the bachelor degree will be the equivalent to the level 6 and the master degree will be the equivalent to level 7. The European Qualifications Framework is based in performance of competences, and so the UQF level will reflect which are your knowledge and skills and how good you are in your competences as a professional. So moving from one level to other will mean that you are improving in how good you are as a professional. So it doesn't matter how many years you have been studying or how you have acquired those competencies. Oh, how you have acquired those competences. So the European Qualifications Framework, together with the ECTS, are the tools that make Bologna process viable and promote lifelong learning and life-wide learning. And so the mobility of all European citizens, whether for studying or working abroad. So, Bologna process is based in the transfer of ECTS credit, really. And successful credit transfer requires academic recognition of credits. What this implies is that ECTS credits awarded in one program of study may be transferred to another program offered by other institution or even in another country, but with a similar program. Given the diversity of programs at the higher education institution, it's unlikely that the credits on learning outcomes of modules will be identical, and so there should be a flexible approach. A flexible approach should be taken for the recognition of credits obtained in another context. So as long as the competence you obtained are similar, then the ECTS, sorry, the ECTS should be recognized. A fair recognition, then, rather than a perfect equivalence, is to be sought. So, in practice, a 4 ECTS credit component in one institution can replace a 5 ECTS credit component in another institution as far as learning